Good morning, this is Cara Coffey of the Ministry of Uncover No More. I'm starting and finishing several blog articles. Had a lovely weekend despite the fact that the grand old party is bandstanding criminally even in Texas and Houston these past few days or whatever. I don't keep up with their bullshit. I keep up with their bullshit and ignore it. All right, it's Monday. I think soon I'm going to be willing to share a very special book of mine that I just began, but thankfully, I have a whole bunch of artwork to do with it, and I'm actually going to pull tarot with that particular book about Michaelmas, my journey with my brother. My brother and I, speaking in Fae Tale, have a very, very strong core of Hobbit from the Lord of the Rings. We always have, and when I say we always have, it is a mystery. It is mystery in the Davis-Beaty family because Wizard of Oz. That's my fourth child's fun game, and she does wear red shoes sometimes. Contrary to popular opinion sometimes, I'm not the Wicked Witch of the West. Charismatic Christianity and most definitely conservative Christianity, whether it's Catholic or Protestant, consider me the Wicked Witch of the West. Your problem, not mine. Okay. I'm going to do a reading for The Hobbit. This is the desk that my uncle Robert Paul Davis-Beaty built for a certain person who is unspeakably wrong in my family history and needs to come to grips with how he should be in jail. It was built taller because that personage is tall. Ouch. You betrayed me. Your whole family did. Don't expect me to wipe it out of my life story anytime soon. Because I do love you, not because I don't. My colored pencils wrought a beautiful thing, but TOLKIEN'S, isn't this gorgeous? This is before the journey and back again, isn't it? The beautiful poem, and here's the ending of what I'm going to read. So there's going to be several pieces of art. I have notes and everything in the book. This is the first chapter. Let me show you okay. Let me show you. And I'll even, I was privileged to go to Half Price Books. They were so kind. It was such a beautiful moment for me. And by the way, the young lady I just talked about is an adult and my fourth child, and I began this book on her birthday. I'm not going to tell you which one. If you happen to snoop around on the internet, you're going to find that I have a new blog. You're not going to hear my precious children's names. You're not going to know which birthday, but there's going to be 10 blog articles a year that will show up on their birthdays for the rest of my life. I fill up that blog, and number 2 will appear, and I'll keep going until I'm gone. And here's the interesting thing. When I go to the other realm, will I still be able to type in this one? That's the life I lead and follow in. So I froze the Silmarillion by JRR Tolkien in a state of sleep, stasis. Stasis, is that how you say it? And all of my runes lined up to this. It's kind of interesting how powerful runes are. It's chapter 15 up through until chapter 16 for a space of time. I may also freeze The Hobbit by JRR Tolkien. I am in a corridor of life turned to death. 1980. And then before that, just a little before that, 1978. You're going to get this Hobbit tale, this Galadriel tale, this mysterious fae rendering across many blogs. I hope you enjoy the journey with the King and I. America, Western world. Let's bring this down to reality, because there was a certain t-shirt yesterday. 13th floor. This is the 13th floor of what? Heaven? Hell? Earth? Mystery. 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 The title page. Michael Haig is very, very talented. We already know J.R.R. Tolkien writes history beyond anything imaginable. And his little sister comes alongside him and says, wow. And this is Robert Browning and Elizabeth Barrett Browning. I'm about to do a poem for them. But when it comes to the artwork of J.R.R. Tolkien's works, I submit one to another with the immortal and use runestones. When it comes to my story with my brother, I interchange runestones. I have 2 sets. One is more casual than the other. And I interchange runestones and the Rider-Waite deck at this point in my life. Will you have other decks, Cara? Seriously doubt it. Seriously doubt it. If I have runes, they'll be my own. And I don't think I'm going to do that in this particular lifetime. I think it will be the next one. And I'm already living that one. So that's mystery. I don't care who you believe about metaphysical reality. Any of you, with the exception, of course, of my tribe Judah, compatriot, and company. Their friends and family are mine. And this is Revelation chapters 7 and 14 in the flesh, as pontificated by Beaty-Coffey of the Ministry of Uncovered No More. If you think I'm going to denigrate the Bible, Baptist, keep waiting. I am going to take your head off lovingly and from a distance. I'm speaking allegorically, idiots. Here's what the Bible says about you. You get eaten by worms, like Herod. Baptist Church, I'm talking to you. Protestants in general who believe in book banning and forcing Christianity into public schools and not allowing Satanism or Islamic prayers. You people are pure acid in hell. You just feed the fires that you burn in. Your conscience is seared. All right, let's break this up, shall we? And go back to the beauty of The Hobbit. Excuse my pajamas. This is some poetry that came forth this reading. If you've seen the movies, you will know what I'm talking about. But there's more detail in the books always. And so this reading is going to be just a little bit longer. I'm breaking through. Okay, I see where I need to break through. Oh my goodness. I love confirmation of my fae tales. And let me check. I talked about the 13th floor. Okay. All right. So this is page 9. And there's a whole bunch of, so you'll get the perspective of Mr. Tolkien. I'm going to read more than I thought because I saw my little pink 13 dwarves. Gandalf sat at the head of the party with the 13 dwarves all round, and Bilbo sat on a stool at the fireside, nibbling at a biscuit. In parentheses, his appetite was quite taken away, and trying to look as if this was all perfectly ordinary. Yes, this happens to me all the time, my whole life, y'all. My whole life, I just stand there. Sometimes I'm hollering. Sometimes I'm just like watching and praying. Sometimes Great Spirit is speaking to me. You're going to be fine. Your baby's going to be fine. I'm being rushed in to an emergency C-section and finding out I can't take codeine and Tylenol because I snort like a pig and hallucinate that I'm being thrown under an 18-wheeler. Stuff like that. Yeah, so his appetite was quite taken away. Doesn't often happen to me. And trying to look as if this was all perfectly ordinary and not in the least an adventure. The dwarves ate and talked, and time got on. At last, and time got on is hilarious if you've ever been in house church or the Baptist church where they do the brunches afterwards. I'm so sorry I see the humor today. I'm not sorry it's Monday. I'm supposed to see some humor. Okay. At last, they pushed their chairs back, and Bilbo made a move to collect the plates and glasses. I suppose you will all stay to supper, he said in his politest, unpressing tones. I have so done this. Of course, said Thorin, and after. We shan't get through the business till late, and we must have some music first. Now to clear up. Thereupon the 12 dwarves, not Thorin, he was too important and stayed talking to Gandalf, jumped to their feet and made tall piles of all the things. Hi, Dr. Seuss, thing 1, thing 2. Oh my goodness. Off they went, not waiting for trays, balancing columns of plates, each with a bottle on the top with one hand, while the hobbit ran after them, almost squeaking with fright. Please be careful, and please don't trouble. I can manage. But the dwarves only started to sing and say, control, control, control. And then Bilbo got to go on an adventure. How many of us are going through this with all the political bullshit going on around us right now? All right. Chip the glasses and crack the plates, blunt the knives and bend the forks. That's what Bilbo Baggins hates. Smash the bottles and burn the corks. Cut the cloth and tread on the fat. Pour the milk on the pantry floor. Leave the bones on the bathroom mat. Splash the wine on every door. Dump the crocks in a boiling bowl. Pound them up with a thumping pole. And when you've finished, if any are whole, send them down the hall to roll. That's what Bilbo Baggins hates. So carefully, carefully with the plates. And of course they did none of these dreadful things, and everything was cleaned and put away safe as quick as lightning, while the hobbit was turning round and round in the middle of the kitchen trying to see what they were doing. Then they went back and found Thorin with his feet on the fender smoking a pipe. He was blowing the most enormous smoke rings, and wherever he told one to go, it went. Up the chimney, or behind the clock on the mantelpiece, or under the table, or round and round the ceiling. But wherever it went, it was not quick enough to escape Gandalf. Pop! He sent a smaller smoke ring from his short clay pipe straight through each one of Thorin's. Then Gandalf's smoke ring would go green and come back to hover over the wizard's head. I'd love to see that. He had a cloud of them about him already, and in the dim light it made him look strange and sorcerous. Bilbo stood still and watched. He loved smoke rings, and then he blushed to think how proud he had been yesterday morning of the smoke rings he had sent up the wind over the hill. And that is, in the movie, this doesn't happen. So, reading is best, my loves. Now for some music, said Thorin. And I began with a green and blue here. Now for some music, said Thorin. Bring out the instruments. Keely and Philly rushed for their bags and brought back little fiddles. Dori, Nori, and Ori brought out flutes from somewhere inside their coats. Bomber produced a drum from the hall. Biffer and Bofer went out too and came back with clarinets they had left among the walking sticks. Dwalin and Balin said, "Excuse me, I left mine in the porch." "Just bring mine in with you," said Thorin. They came with viols as big as themselves, and with Thorin's harp wrapped in a green cloth. It was a beautiful golden harp, and when Thorin struck it, the music began all at once. So sudden and sweet that Bilbo forgot everything else and was swept away into dark lands under strange moons, far over the water and very far from his hobbit hole under the hill. The dark came into the room from the little window that opened in the side of the hill. The firelight flickered. It was April. It was April. And still they played on, while the shadow of Gandalf's beard wagged against the wall. The dark filled all the room, and the fire died down, and the shadows were lost, and still they played on. And suddenly, first one and then another began to sing as they played, deep-throated singing of the dwarves in the deep places of their ancient homes. And this is like a fragment of their song, if it can be like their song without their music. Far over the misty mountains, cold, to dungeons deep and caverns old. We must away ere break of day to seek the pale enchanted gold. The dwarves of yore made mighty spells, while hammers fell like ringing bells in places deep where dark things sleep in hollow halls beneath the fells. For ancient king and elvish lord, there many a gleaming golden hoard, they shaped and wrought, and light they caught to hide in gems on hilt of sword. On silver necklaces they strung the flowering stars, on crowns they hung the dragon fire in twisted wire. They meshed the light of moon and sun. Far over the misty mountains cold, to dungeons deep and caverns old, we must away ere break of day to claim our long forgotten gold. Goblets they carved there for themselves, and harps of gold where no man delves. There lay they long, and many a song was sung unheard by men or elves. The pines were roaring on the height, the winds were moaning in the night. The fire was red, its flaming spread, and the trees like torches blazed with light. The bells were ringing. In the dale. And then looked up with faces pale. Then dragon's ire, more fierce than fire, laid low their towers and houses frail. The mountains smoked beneath the moon. The dwarves, they heard the tramp of doom. They fled their hall to dying fall beneath his feet, beneath the moon. Far over the misty mountains grim, to dungeons deep and caverns dim, we must away ere break of day to win our harps and gold from him. As they sang, the hobbit felt the love of beautiful things made by hands and by cunning and by magic moving through him, a fierce and a jealous love, the desire of the hearts of dwarves. Then something tookish woke up inside him, and he wished to go and see the great mountains and hear the pine trees and the waterfalls and explore the caves and wear a sword instead of a walking stick.